This is going to be a little different, but I think you're going to like it. I want to talk about why are we even learning math in the first place? Right? Okay? I know you're frustrated, some of you. Why are we still doing this? I don't even need this. I'm never going to be solving quadratic formulas in my future. So I want to talk about that and a little bit about mathematics within popular culture. And then you'll just have a few quick questions that shows me you watched and listened to this video afterwards. So as you can see, we have these memes that appear in our society. We've got Dear Math, grow up and solve your own problems. Or you guys have seen the one where it says find X and it just circles the letter X of the question. And all throughout different examples we have these terrible messages we're even sending to young children of math is hard, let's go shopping, here's Barbie. Or just anyone, like other teachers who maybe don't teach math say, oh, math, oh, you're never gonna, I hate math. Or these terrible comments, which we'll get into. Another little Futurama, just, you see it everywhere. Math is hard, everywhere you go. And so, why do we need it? And I'm going to put up, I know we talked at the beginning of the year, Poya's problem solving strategies. So this is one version of it here. See, plan, do, check, or understand the problem, devise a plan, carry out the plan, and check back. Maybe the other way you've heard me say it in class. So what we do in math, yeah, you probably won't use a quadratic. You've heard all of the lists of careers. Oh, what if you go into this? And all these fields use mathematics. Okay, you've heard the list of people that actually do use math in their everyday career. Okay, but even more important than that, and even if you are in those roles, even more importantly, what you learn is the critical thinking skills. It's the problem solving skills. It's the way that your brain will handle a problem. And it doesn't have to be a math problem. So when you understand how to understand a problem, devise a plan, carry out a plan, and check back, you are understanding how and why things work. So that's the problem solving skills. That's the critical thinking skills. That's using your brain to think. Think for a second. When you ignore a problem, what happens? When you ignore a math problem, what happens? Does it solve itself? Do you get points? What if you ignore a history question? Ignore, I'm saying totally ignore. Doesn't solve itself. What if you ignore a bill in the mail? What if you ignore a phone call? That's not a telemarketer. What if you start ignoring things in your life? What is ignoring? Well, ignoring is the lack of thinking, the lack of critical thinking, the lack of problem solving. So when you start to ignore things, you're not using those neural pathways in your brain, you're not thinking. Things don't get solved. Whether it's a math problem or a choice or a problem in your life is filled with choices. The older you get, the more choices, or maybe just, this young age that you are, once you get past your teenage years, early 20s, constant choices. Even today, constant choices every day, from what food do you want to eat to how much do you want to eat. You made those choices this morning. Do I brush my teeth or not? Do I check my phone? Do I get off of it now? All of those are choices. And of course, there's bigger choices that they all affect your life, but big and small choices that you have. When you make those choices, you need to investigate. You have to investigate what would be the outcomes of these choices. So think about the bigger things in life, the bigger choices. Do I participate in this action of, this is for candles, do I smoke? Do I, what are the consequences, right? Those are big questions that we've talked about before. And there's, so things in the mail, let's get back to that. So you could get a statement in the mail. You could get a an allergy test result. When you go to the doctor, you get allergy test results. Just understanding, it's just a table of numbers, and you have to compare your number to the table of number and the range. You guys know that math vocab word, range, right? So you see these little applications there. That's actually math, but then just understanding it and applying it, understanding the data so that you can then apply that to your life of which one am I actually allergic to and by how much. And fraud. Fraud is something that you may see in your future. Identity theft, maybe a stolen credit card number. And so just simple things like understanding and like managing your own finances, just on the minimal scale of noticing how much money you have, where it is, what the numbers on the statements are, where they're coming from, are they your own purchases? And then if you do see a problem, how do you actually solve it? Well, call your company. Don't click the link in the email that you get that might be spam, but actually go to chase.com or firstamerica.com or whatever their actual real legit website is. Type it yourself. Don't click a link, and get their phone number or send them an email and figure out, what you can do, right? Or reading small print. If you get a statement, look at your statements from a bank. Say you have a checking or savings account, and all of a sudden your threshold, you need to have X amount of money in your account so that they don't charge you fees, monthly fees, and then your money does dip below that amount that month, and then they start throwing fees at you, and they literally take your own money out of your bank account, the bank does, because you didn't meet the required minimum in that account, and they take your money and, it was in the small print. Do you think that they wave flags and put it in big red pen on your monthly statement that, oh, hey, we're taking your money because you fell below the threshold? No, it's in the teeny tiny print that if you don't have X amount of money, we're going to start charging, whatever it is, $10 a month is coming out of your account, or 2% or whatever. That's way too high, but read the small print, right? Okay, so I'm getting into the weeds there on that. So, okay, back to thinking. When you get older, so you guys hear the phrase cognitive decline, and cognitive decline is kind of the proper nice way of saying, like, you start to lose your memory. Okay, you see it with elderly or maybe even middle age. People start to have cognitive decline, where you start to not think as clearly, you start to forget things as much, you're not as sharp. Okay, and some of that does come in old age, just from hereditary reasons or disease, but a lot of it's controllable. Okay. If you've ever met an older person that is just, they say, sharp as a tack, right? They can have a conversation with you. They're telling you stories from their childhood. They know history from however long ago, and they're with it. And then you see someone else their same age, or maybe even younger, who's like, kind of lost and forget who you are, and and again, part of it's just age and hereditary, and it could be disease, but part you can control. That your brain is a muscle. If you continue to use it and you build those new neural pathways, and that's thinking, right? And when you see a math problem, we talked about this before, if you are okay to sit with the unsettling anxiety of not knowing the answer, and to think and to try and solve it, that's when you're building new neural pathways, like literally firing through your brain, like building new neural pathways, which makes you smarter. You're building a muscle, okay? Literally, okay? It is getting stronger, and you are getting smarter by doing that. Every time you sit in the discomfort of unknowing and you think, you problem solve, whether it's math or a real world problem or a choice that you have to make. When you sit and think, just think about, what are all my options? What will happen if I try each of those options? Any other things I can think about that I can do to understand this or to solve this? And then maybe investigate that problem or choice even further. That's it. You're critically thinking. You're building neural pathways. You're getting smarter. You're getting your brain to be stronger. And you need to keep doing that through your entire life. That should not end at grade 12. Okay? Almost done. So understand how and things work. Critically think. You're problem solving. You're building new neural pathways. You're becoming analytical. You're analyzing things. You have better reasoning abilities. You have better logic. You are more logically sound about a situation. You know, people are like crazy and like, that's not a logical choice. That's not logically sound. There's a part of math that's actually called logic, right? That's actually a chapter of math, logic, which is kind of a fun section. You can do it on your own for fun over the summer. Google some logic problems. But you can become more actually logically sound in a situation and have logic about a situation. You're finding solutions to life choices. You're investigating those choices. Just double checking. Worst thing you can do is ignore a problem. Problems don't solve themselves. Maybe you'll get lucky in maybe you can think of one, outlier case of, okay, maybe that worked by ignoring that thing. But I mean real problems in front of you that you have, a choice that you have in life, or something you get in the mail. You can't ignore those problems, and you need to think critically, and you need to have the brains to figure it out, and that is essentially math, problem solving, okay? So last thing we're going to do, the Poya's problem solving strategies, and so what are they? First, understand the problem. That's the C. Understand the problem. Understand the problem carefully by reading it. Decide what you are attempting to do, and identify the essential and non-essential information. In blue, second step here. You can read along with me. Plan. Devise a plan by gathering all available information and pondering on some possible actions, such as try a simpler problem, make a model, draw a sketch or diagram, make a table or a list, look for patterns, guess and check, and then improve, check and improve, find a rule, and act on the problem. Use a formula. Third, do, which is carry out the plan by revising and changing the plan as needed and creating a new plan if the first one does not work. Try it again. Don't give up after the first idea. And lastly, read along with me, check. Look back and check that you have used all the applicable information. Decide whether or not the solution makes sense and fits the original problem, just like we do in math. Plug that x back in. Does it actually work? Oh, I got a gigantic negative. Does that make sense? No, better do it again, right? Same thing for this real world choice and problem. Look back. Did you check with all the information that you have? Decide whether this actually answers your problem. And is logical, okay? George Poya, his problem-solving strategy is just one more version of this. This is my last thing. So some guiding questions for you as you go in to tackle these problems. So step 1 here in orange, to understand the problem. Can you state the problem in your own words? What are you trying to do or find? What are the unknowns? What information can you obtain from the problem? And what information is missing or not needed? And that's where you guys go and take action, where you investigate. You have this. We all have these attached to us. Google things. Don't just, I don't know. Google it. Figure it out. Investigate the problem. Okay? And then we have the make the plan, look for patterns, solve a similar problem, or remember a related problem. Break the problem down into different parts, make a table, diagram, equation, guess and check, work backwards, identify a sub-goal. Okay? And then you guys know, look back, and then step 3, carry it out. I did that backwards, sorry. Step 3, carry it out, and then 4, look back. Okay, I'm so happy to talk more about this with you guys if you have any questions or interest in this further. And I just really want you to remember, and I know that we're trying to, what prompted this is I'm thinking, oh my gosh, there's so much math that I still need to teach them, and we only have 2 weeks. How do I cram it all in? How do I choose? And I lost sight of the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that you're learning math here as a life skill to investigate problems and choices in your life that are not even number related. And that's the big picture. And that's the message that I want you guys to remember coming out of my math class. Okay? So keep using your brain, keep understanding problems, and investigating and thinking. Don't stop thinking. It's okay to sit in the uneasy, unsettling state of not knowing the answer. It's good to sit in that and think about the answers, and you can always come back to your problem solving strategy.